In this video, we have got a 107 kill game on Empire State Conquest with the KV9 SMG. As always, stick around, I'll show up on screen in just a second the attachments which I was using on this gun. We'll go into the pros and cons of the gun and how to use it on this map and how to use it in general. And then we'll talk about this map in terms of what you want to do when playing aggressively with an SMG. The attachments are on screen there, so let's get straight into the pros and cons. Of course, the first and most obvious pro of this gun is going to be the rate of fire, with the KV9 coming in with a rate of fire of 1080 rounds per minute, which puts it as the fastest gun in the game in terms of rate of fire. And therefore, this very high rate of fire, paired with its base damage before any drop off of 25, gives it one of, if not the fastest time to kill in the game. Further to the pros, we have, of course, recoil. It has very minimal recoil, which is very good for a gun with low ammo capacity, and generally you want to try and maintain as high accuracy as possible as you can with these fast fire rate, fast time to kill guns, which of course generally will have a lower magazine size. And probably the biggest and best pro of this gun, although it kind of links into the cons, is that the KV9, probably alongside the SCW-10 SMG, two guns which have a very low magazine capacity, is going to be one of the guns that will improve your skill level the most in terms of cover rotation and in terms of ammo management. So in terms of improving ammo management, you have a small mag size of only 18 to 27 rounds, and you're going to find when you start using it, that you're only getting 1 kill per mag, and you're reloading more than you are with any other gun in the game. This leaves you vulnerable and is your main cause of deaths with this gun. And not only this, but you must also take on multiple enemies at once in the small maps which we currently have in Battlefield 6. Therefore, with practice, you start to take on multiple enemies and understanding mentally that you can take someone on even with only 10 rounds before you start to reload. And so you don't die so often by carelessly thinking that you always need to reload after every kill. And of course, second to this, in terms of improving your cover rotation, when you are reloading and you are therefore vulnerable, when you start using this gun, you're going to be dying a lot while reloading and of course carelessly reloading out in the open. And so over time, your cover rotation improves because to stay alive, you need to be dipping in and out of cover while reloading to of course make sure you're hidden and not getting shot at while you cannot shoot back. So naturally, over time when using this gun, your skill level will improve in this area in terms of ammo management and in terms of cover rotation. So that covers the pros of the KV9, and I'll very briefly go over the cons of the gun, having already mentioned one or two of them there. Of course, firstly, you have the very small magazine size, only 18 to 27 rounds. Therefore, you're going to be reloading a lot more with this gun than any other gun. So again, you're vulnerable and are going to die a lot this way, but it will, of course, as I just said, improve your skill level a lot the more you use it. In terms of reloading as well, it has a reload time of around 2.1 to 2.4 seconds, depending on what attachments you go for. So not a slow reload by any means. There are faster reload times on other SMGs, of which those SMGs do have much larger magazine sizes. So the reload time is not really favorable in comparison to the mag size which you've got available to use. Additionally to this, and kind of a small con, is going to be the bullet velocity. So even in the build which I've got here, which uses an extended barrel, it has a bullet velocity of 435 meters a second. Now, the extended barrel on any of the other SMGs are around 500 to 600 meters a second. Of course, you're going to be using this gun in close range, so it's not that significant, but a faster bullet velocity does mean bullets are hitting the target faster, and therefore a faster time to kill. So a slight disadvantage here compared to the other guns. And lastly, in terms of the cons of the KV9, it is going to be the misconception surrounding the bullets to kill, and that's thanks to the wastefulness of the gun due to its high rate of fire. Now, the bullets to kill of this gun is 4 because of its high damage of 25 damage per bullet at the closest range possible before any damage drop off. However, expecting to get a kill for every 4 bullets that you shoot is unrealistic, simply because your accuracy with the gun is not going to be that high, and 2, it's because of the rate of fire. Whenever you pull the trigger down to get a kill, you're not going to fire in bursts or stop firing every 4 rounds. By the time you've pulled the trigger down and let go, when the time, you mentally think that you should stop because you're going to get the kill, you're never really only going to fire 4 bullets. It's always going to be 8 to 12 bullets, therefore double or triple the amount of bullets that it actually would be to get a kill, at the minimum, if you hit every single shot for the maximum damage. So hopefully that last point there makes sense. A bit of a long-winded answer, but a valid point and a very useful point to go over. Of course, this gun does not benefit at the moment to the hit registration and netcode issues which we currently have in Battlefield 6, when you've only got 18 to 27 rounds on a gun with this fast fire rate, where a couple of the bullets, for each magazine that you're shooting might not be registering. It can therefore be a very difficult gun to use, so I expect this gun to improve a lot more in its feeling once those issues have been resolved. So overall, how do I recommend that you use this gun? Of course, I would suggest using this gun at the closest range as possible, thanks to that super fast fire rate and being able to beat any other gun in terms of time to kill, only being beaten by shotguns with someone who obviously is accurate and lands their first shot. If they do not land their first shot, then you've got every chance and every right to win every single gunfight in that case. I would not recommend to use the gun at long range because of massive damage drop-off and trying to stay accurate with such a high rate of fire. And of course, at medium range, this still sort of applies. You could try out the burst fire mode, which only fires 2 rounds, so not, massively helpful, but the burst fire can be used to try and hit, headshots from someone who's standing behind cover, so that can be quite useful, but otherwise, generally, try and stick to the closest range possible, and always try and think, whenever you've got to reload, where is the nearest point of cover that you can dash into to reload, because there's always a good chance, well, pretty much the majority of the time, there's going to be that second, third, fourth, or even fifth enemy that is coming around the corner or into the area where you've just picked up your first kill with a gun, and so you're going to get killed if you're not behind cover while you're reloading, and that gives you a chance to reload, pop out into a fair gunfight with, of course, a gun at close range which can and should be able to beat any other gun and have the best chance of winning that gunfight. Lastly, in terms of how you want to play on the Empire State with an SMG to, of course, do well generally, you do not want to stay on the 2nd or 3rd floor, on the high ground of this map, at the center of the map overlooking C flag, because you will get outgunned at range, from assault rifles and LMGs. You want to try and stay on the ground floor, pass through the center of the map, as quickly as you can to get into the buildings either side of the map where the enemies are going to be, to get into those close quarters, nitty-gritty areas where you can, of course, take the upper hand and get the advantage of close quarters with one of the best guns in the game for close quarters, thanks to its high rate of fire and fast time to kill. Okay, so there's 3.5 minutes left of this video now. As always, if you've watched this far, please smash like for me, and I will let you watch the rest of the video in peace. I'll see you on the next one.